Hello everyone. Welcome to our next knowledge clip focusing on the introduction section of your writing assignment. So let's go ahead and get started with establishing the introduction. So introduction should be, I would recommend around 200 to 400 words, but probably a little bit closer to 400, if not a little bit more actually, to make sure that you fully capture the information there. And the purpose of the introduction is to essentially introduce your topic and or goal of your essay. So the most crucial element of your introduction that you need to mention is of course your central/research question. So it's again focusing establishing the main focus of your entire paper. So that's where you can introduce kind of the digital platform factor that you want to focus on, and of course, kind of progress from there in terms of your factor and its growth or impact on society or on a particular group of people that you need to focus on. Again, you really want to make sure that using your introduction, you make your reader understand why you are focusing on what your research question is stating. So just to again quickly recap or remind you about the assignment, we want to consider factors that impact the growth and market power of digital platforms. So considering one of these factors or selecting one of these factors, you want to essentially analyze it and see what consequence does this factor have regarding the overall implication on digital platforms, and also the consequences for consumers or employees. So selecting one of those. You want to kind of evaluate that factor and truly gauge to what extent does it have an impact and what kind of impact does it have. One thing that is really important to note across your entire writing assignment, but of course particular in your introduction, is again that the introduction should be very objective, meaning that you should present facts and limit opinion statements. So overall, everything should be very literature-based, empirically based statements and sentences, and nothing that is particularly opinionated or opinion-based. So getting a little bit into the structure of your introduction, we have four main focuses, which is, of course, your rationale, so kind of establishing the background and identifying the problem. Then you have your central question, research method, and structure of the paper. So starting off, we have our rationale. So we have our background and we also establish our problem. So the background is essentially, again, setting the context, setting the scene, and that can either be using a current event or a status quo. So what has been going on in the past or something that is a recent development. So for example, what is maybe something new that has happened regarding your chosen factor? Maybe there's new growth, new popularity with this method for the growth of digital platforms, or what is something that the factor has been doing consistently, or has this been the norm for a certain amount of time. So kind of setting the scene at first with your factor, chosen factor, and also maybe something about the consumers or employees that you're focusing on. And that's where you can kind of segue into as well the problem identification. So you've sort of established the context, but now we want to know why is this relevant, and why is this important for us to look into? And as well, is this a big issue? To what extent is this a large issue? How many parties are affected? How, who and what is it also affected by the factor, again, kind of leading into your decision on which one you're focusing on, consumers versus employees. And one thing that is important to note is that based on the course outline, they also recommend that you use some sort of newspaper article as well for the rationale section. So you can use an article to either establish, a recent event, something like that, or identify the problem. And again, the why is established in the problem identification, and we then want to present our central question on how are we actually, or what are we really actually looking into for the paper. So for the central question, you can really segue from part 1B, which is your problem identification, into this part. What is the extent to which this factor, has an impact on consumers versus employees? And it's recommended that you definitely make this a little bit more defined in terms of the scope. Simply to manage to fit everything into 2,000 words, just asking what is the extent to which this factor affects employees, you're going to need a lot more than 2,000 words to answer that very broad question. So try to make it a little bit more specific, either in terms of country, in terms of timeline, in terms of, a particular way that this could affect consumers or employees. Just narrow the scope a little bit based on the literature that you've been looking into, and then that makes it a little bit easier to solve actually your research question. Other things that should be considered for the central question is that it should be neutral, it should be clear and well defined in terms of the terms you're using for the research question, and again, keep it an open question so you actually can explore this in your writing assignment rather than keeping it yes or no, which is extremely limited. So, of course, after your central question, you want to establish how you're going to answer your central question and what is the overall structure of your paper. So the research method, I would recommend combining this with part 4 simply because this should not take more than a sentence. Half a sentence to one sentence is enough, honestly, to establish your research method because you are just doing a review of past literature. So you're not conducting a study or experiment. So you can just simply note that and shouldn't take too much of your word count. And then that segues into the structure of the paper. So what is the sequence your paper will follow? I would recommend that per section, as given to you in the course outline, that you establish maybe 1 or 2 sentences worth of explanation on what exactly will each section contribute to the paper, and again, what is the primary focus and how will this actually lead you to your final results of your research question. So you want to focus on that and establish again the relevance from the very beginning, set the expectations for the reader that this is the goal for the essay, and by the end they should have a clear idea on what is the stance based on the literature regarding your research question. So that is going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, make sure to check with your tutorial tutor's requirements if they have different suggestions for word count, for the structure of the introduction, exactly what you should be looking into. Listen to them. These knowledge clips are really just a way for you to have a little bit more direction if it's something that you are particularly lost in or there's not that many specifics given to you. Basically use that to your advantage. Definitely, I will be uploading soon about the theoretical framework, and if there are any courses that you would like to use for your exam preparation, check those links out in the description. Of course, throughout this assignment, you have your usage of AI, and you can use that truly at really any moment when helping you in your introduction. You can help it with formulating your research question, with identifying maybe what are some interesting factors to explore regarding your different potential factors or consumers versus employees. So kind of use it to help you to help nudge you in a right direction that you yourself are interested in. And then you can, of course, use it a little bit more in the theoretical framework section that we're going to have a look at next time. So again, thank you for watching. Hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next knowledge clip.